Hey guys, I'm Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC and BHSpringSolutionscom.
And this is talk about BHCustomShop.
And we are the co-founders of BH Spring Solutions, and you're looking at our remodeled BH Custom Shop Service Department planner. And we've made a lot of changes to this, wanting to make this more of a planner for your service work with the BH Custom Shop Service Department, and no longer are folks able to contract these services online. You can see all the services, you can see all the pricing and everything that is involved, but all orders must be initiated by a BH representative, one of our service consultants, and you see the access there at 1-877-423-BHSS. And this is just showing you right now what the new service department pages look like. And here at the bottom of the page you find three choices you can click on: high powers, 1911, the CZ75s. All the pages are similar. The services vary a little bit based on model, but we're going to give you a quick preview of how this looks on the for the high power. And there we have one of our BHAdvanced masterpieces that was actually, this just sold on gunbroker.com within the last 2 weeks, I think. And we're making this video in August of 2022, and basically what we're seeing here is the product of about 7 years of continuous work
And
development and innovation, and some business acquisitions, and it has all added up to BHAdvanced components and BHAdvanced service in our custom shop for high powers and 1911s and CZ75s. And part of what we're going to be briefly talking about is this concept of what we call BH's core services. And in a nutshell, what these core services were designed to do, and you see here on your screen an example for high power pistols, and for high powers for folks who want SFS and a spring optimization through the BH Custom Shop Service Department. The core services really were designed to answer the problem or the question of we see 12, 13, 14, 15 different manufacturers, high powers as an example, and only God knows how many different manufacturers 1911s come that arrive through our service department. Some of these arrive and they're like new in the box. They've never even been fired by the owner, and we really appreciate the trust that folks give us when they send those. All the way to we've had some specimens that were hardcore. I don't know how many wars some of these had already been through, but I'm pretty sure it was several, and they looked like they had been seriously road hardened, put up wet, and lots of marginal and defective parts. Well, the challenge for us from the very beginning was to take this myriad of different levels of condition and bring all of these handguns to a level that is comparable with each other, and obviously some of those take more work, some of those take less, but we wanted to be producing consistently high power and 1911 and CZ75 products that are absolutely superior in the marketplace, kind of regardless of the condition. And today we've seen hundreds and hundreds of high powers as an example through our custom shop, and I think we've had to declare one or two beyond repair or dead on the operating table upon arrival, but that is extraordinarily rare. And in fact, in those instances, I think even one of the frames was still fine. It was somebody had been inside the slide with a tool or something, and you run into those kind of things. But but our services are designed to find even those kinds of things. And so we've set this up. This would be the core services for the owner of a high power who wants his high power brought up to BHAdvanced status using the traditional operating system. This core service includes SFS, and you see here for the Springfield SA35 for the Gersans and for the FEGs from Hungary, there is a supplement for parts and necessary fitting of things when we address those. The key part of understanding, I think, the value of these core services is in the inclusions. And in other words, this gives you specifically what we do and how we do it and what you can expect from this core service. And when you add it up and you consider the typical shop rates of a licensed gunsmith today, this becomes quite, we believe, an exceptional value. And you got anything you want to add to that?
There is not much you can add to that. I think when our visitors or BH veterans visit the website and take a look at the benefits that the core services are providing, they will see for themselves. And if they have just a pencil with a sheet of paper, they can prove your words from themselves. So.
This shows you the inclusions of all of the core services, but it really goes further than that. When the core service is selected and included, just as an example, and a high power owner wants to add the BHAdvanced trigger subassembly to that is a fitted component, and as part of the core service, the addition of the BHAdvanced trigger subassembly involves the cost of the component only. In other words, there's no additional fitting charges, there's no additional bench time charges and surprises that go along with that. In other words, it's included because we don't want those kinds of charges to be demotivators for a guy to have the best possible high power coming back to him that he can have. And then you see here also the optional services for things like sights, for like internals polishing, advanced metal prep, which is a frequent thing in a lot of your surplus pistols that have had a lot of banging around, and in trigger breakaway tuning. You'll note here with the core service, there is no charge for this anymore. We actually eliminated that charge entirely. And slide velocity synchronization. That means the timing of your slide is functioning both going rearward and going forward at an appropriate rate so that reliability is sound. That is also included. Then you'll find your choices of sights, and that's an easy thing to shop because that's scrolling across the screen and shows you some of the choices and options, also some night sight options as well. And finally, you see our refinish services. One thing I'll note, this color wheel, so to say, does not include also a couple of military type colors that we have as well. We're going to be seeing those in our scrapbook pictures here in just a moment, and I think that's going to be probably the most fun part of the video for a lot of guys watching this is going to be the scrapbook. And we're going to start the scrapbook with Slav and our Chief Weapons and Modifications Designer from Liège, Belgium, Léon Hubert, and myself. And we were in Liège and took a ride up to Urstal, Léon Hubert's 35-year employer, and got a picture outside the marquee there just for sort of nostalgia, I guess you'd say. But this was about 6 weeks ago in June of here in 2022. And the scrapbook's going to kind of go like this. And as we're making this video, my partner here has no idea what I have in the program as far as pictures. So some of this is going to be coming as a surprise to him. There's a before and an after, all in one picture of a Springfield SA35 that we did in November and December of 2022, and then we sold this, and the proceeds all went to the Wounded Warrior Project. And this is one of our most recent, we consider, accomplishments, because the Springfield SA35 does come with a little opportunities for betterments, here and there. And we're going to go ahead and continue. There's that SA35 that was sold for the Wounded Warrior Project. There is one we did recently, and it's a good time to mention that BH now has its own gold plating service called BH Gold Plating, and we started adding that as a complement to a lot of our 1911s and high powers. And this one, actually, as we're making this, is actually available on Gunbroker right now today.
The gold plating service is available. It can be seen as an addition to the core services. There is a submenu.
Okay.
Where you can take a look at what can be added to the core services.
Okay.
There is a link leading to that page.
Okay, now this one is going to surprise my partner here, because he probably didn't see this one coming. You want to explain this a little bit?
Yeah, this is the ugliest gun ever built. I think it was the ugliest before I started messing with it. So probably this is the fourth or fifth reincarnation of this gun. It was all gold plated. All the controls were gold and rhodium plated. After that, I decided to see if it's going to work better with some lightened cuts in the sight. Well, it was okay. Then it received a red dot. Here the sight is not cut yet for the red dot, but it was eventually. The grips are experimental BH sport grips or competitive shooting grips, giving exceptional grip, but they are not. This is not wood. This is plastic, so it is in our back mirror at the moment, but it can be a product eventually. Of course, the gun is SFS. The new BHAdvanced trigger is installed here. One of the first
prototypes, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the first prototypes. RDH / BH BH ambidextrous magazine release. What next? What else? I have here we have the sights drilled for fiber optic, and of course you can see the holes that are helping fasten the picketing rail, the accessory rail.
Every time I ever thought Slavran had something to do with this Arcus, he proved me completely wrong. So I always am wondering what's going to come next. But I've had a chance to compete with this pistol in a competition or two over here in Bulgaria, where we're actually making this right now. And needless to say, there are things that we learn from doing things like this that we apply, back to our custom shop, service department concept. So this would be more like almost an experimental gun, I guess.
Yeah, it was a guinea pig. At the moment this picture was taken, I think the trigger was 3 pounds or less. Now it is 3.5 around. It was the sear spring was changed and it go a bit higher, just to see what happened.
I do want to mention one thing, that being one of the very first prototypes of the trigger. This is something that you and I and Leon Hubert worked on for, it was like 2 years, perfecting this. And this has been one of the true game changers in our service department. And I am thankful every time that we install one that we did not ever stop perfecting this until we had it as good as we could possibly make it. This BHAdvanced trigger subassembly gives us so much control over trigger break weight and reset and the characteristics, quality, and function and performance of the trigger, just, you know, as a package.
Yeah, it was working exceptionally through the years, and after we had the final product, it was a cumulative perfect result.
Okay, we're going to move on. This one, this is one of our BHAdvanced masterpieces, and a pair of exceptional, would you call it a tiger stripe grip, kind of?
Yeah.
Or half tiger stripe?
You can call them also one pair of hell of a grips.
Hell of a grip, yes. This one was gone quickly, and it had TT stainless BH performance black slide night sights, SFS, all of the BH embellishments. That was not intended. We're going to pop this back up there to the subject. Next one we had here, one of the things I wanted to show here is we didn't just, and have not ever just stopped with the FN Browning high powers. We have had a lot of fun playing with the clones and everybody else's high powers as well. This is one of the early Koreans, and it turned out very, very, very nicely. This one was a fun one. This is an Argentine FM, and we had an occasion to get a hold of a FM detective slide. That's of course a 3.8-inch barrel slide, and the frame originally came with a full-size FM slide. So what we did is we, using the components that we had, we did the necessary fitting and adapting, and we ended up basically with 2-in-1. So you have your full-size high power, and you have your compact slide high power in this format. And I know nobody has played with Arcuses, before at this kind of level. And it was actually Arcuses that are the reason that you and I found each other in the very first place. That's an Arcus 94C, and I am certain that it, aesthetically anyway, is probably superior to any other Arcus 94C I ever came across. The message behind this, though, is the consistency of the build quality of these handguns makes them worthy of this kind of effort. And I have said before, I have read others who have said before that there may be a very strong argument, and I think there is, that it's possible that the build quality, hardcoreness, performance of the Bulgarian Arcus high powers may be the best ever in high power history, and we find them to be easy to work with, quite frankly.
Yeah, because all parts are drop-in. Probably there are exceptions, of course, regarding year of production or something like that. But in general, if you don't pay attention to the tooling marks inside the slide, which is of course made better over the years, probably. I was searching for other words, but to excuse those guys at Arcus, but let's put it that way. More focus was put on how this gun is going to work, how this gun is going to be absolutely reliable, and they were not paying that much attention of removing all the tooling marks inside the slide, because frankly this is not the most important thing in a gun. Actually, what we want from a gun is when you pull the trigger, it fires. So this is what this gun does.
what this one actually just went to a new owner. Actually, as we're making this video, he's probably going to receive this today.
Oh.
Yeah, and what he got for this is a rare 4-inch barrel compact high power, and the extra stability of the beaver tail grip frame design that Arcus did. And I have to admit, it was a little hard to watch this one leave because they aren't plentiful and they are difficult to find sometimes. And being that there's not that many of them, and compact high powers are in demand. And so that was TT graphite over TT stainless with BH's BHAdvanced gold trigger. Here's one of our newest creations. This is the Gersan MCP35 high power from Turkey. And we sent this one. This one was fun. We sent this one out on a little tour of the country to a couple of other BH veterans and YouTube guys, and they put this through its paces. They shot it, and some of them, really shot it hard. And it's now back at our shop. It's getting a complete refinish to rid it of any kind of handling marks and things like that. It'll be reassembled as you see it configured here. And this one likewise is going to be sold for charity. Okay, now this next part, this is not nearly as interesting as this. Okay, but one of the things we wanted to emphasize in this presentation is we really didn't go for aesthetics like this all the way and as deep as we have now gone until we had the performance of a BHAdvanced high power we believe to be the finest performing high powers in history. And to kind of make this a little humorous, how many of us guys, have learned firsthand the old saying, don't fall for a pretty face. These handguns are far more than a pretty face. And back to that subject of the core services, here's what happens as a part of the core services. This is going to give everyone watching this a brief taste of our process, the paperwork that happens. So your high power or your 1911 or CZ75 shows up, and if it's a high power, this is the actual service form packet. This, what you see here, is what happens immediately upon receipt of the handgun. Then we go into a complete inspection mode. This goes on for multiple and several pages. Every pin, part, spring, every component, including the frame, slide, barrel, and all aspects of them, go through this intensive inspection, and we rate everything as satisfactory, defective, marginal, not applicable. If an item appears to be non-OEM or a BH component, or if we have evidence of a component or something inside the slider frame that has been visited by a tool to its detriment, we make notes of that as well. And we're going to kind of scroll through this, but this is really the guts, if you will, of our service process that is now producing this consistency of result out of the BHCustomShop service department. And that's what you see there is the end of the inspection. At the end of the inspection, we list the components, the service recommendation, the reason for the recommendation, and these recommendations are all focused on getting the best reliability, performance, accuracy out of that specific particular high power. And a point of note here about this, we have made a process that can be applied, for example, to all high power pistols, but it recognizes that every high power pistol is singularly unique that arrives, and very few times do we see two that are in some way identical. After this inspection takes place, And there's a schematic for our BH veterans benefit when this goes back to them so they can understand what we're referencing and talking about. After that goes back to the BH veteran, the owner final selections and authorization form is completed by our service consultant, and this is where final trigger break weight range is chosen. All any kind of final options or changes to the service plan are made at this point, and as soon as this form is completed, we are authorized at that point in the shop to reassemble or build out or dovetail site, cut in the case of site, refinish in the case of a refinish, add components, potentially eliminate some that may have been previously chosen. And then the checklists start. The checklists are the process for reassembly and build out, and it is literally every pin, every part, every spring, even down to one drop of oil on every spring that's installed. The goal here is to leave no stone unturned so that there is elimination of any chances that we're going to put this thing back together, start spending our ammunition test firing it, and it's going to be going back in to find a problem. And that's what this is all about. And this is something that we are very, very proud of, because this is all our work as a result of about 7 years of continuous refinement. And then at the very bottom, after the firearm is back together, we have a complete safety check protocol, and one for the traditional operating system, and we have one also for the SFS operating system. Once the checklists are complete, everything is back reassembled and everything has passed at that point, we have a post-service function analysis. This is when the test firing happens, and we're primarily wanting to see excellent function, consistency of extraction distance. We note the extraction distance if there were any malfunctions, which, knock on wood, there almost never are. It would be noted there, and the corrective action that was taken to correct that, and then retested. One of the things you're going to notice here also is this is not a singular judgment that we are done working and that this firearm is cleared to ship. So we have the technician here, we have the BH representative, and that would be typically me or Slav, and we're the ones authorized to issue that final clear to ship. And this too has been a very valuable, productive aspect, and that is 2 sets of eyes, 2 sets of hands if it's possible on site, but 2 reviewing each gun has multiple times spurred questions and a relook at something, and it was productive that did happen. 2 sets of eyes are better than 1 when it comes to this. And finally, we issue what is called the BH High Power certification, and that is just certifying that this high powers components and condition analysis inspection report all conform to the requirements to be a BHAdvanced high power. And then finally, an offer for an orientation for the owner once they've gotten the firearm back and how they can get that. Of course, that is completely included. And a feedback request. And we love it when people send back this feedback request. We created it as a report card, so A, B, C, D, and F, everybody kind of knows what those mean, and these are easy to answer questions, but we want you to complete our report card. And if there are things that we, in your opinion, could have done better, we want to know about it, and we make changes as a result of that. So that is a brief look at the BH service process, and it's what makes the function, performance, accuracy of these firearms at least as good as they look. So we're going to go back here to the scrapbook pages here real quick. This is a Browning high power in TT graphite over TT graphite with gold BHAdvanced trigger subassembly, gold magazine base plate, gold grip screws. And this is also kind of a rare one because we actually do not use the traditional operating system, but this is one, I think in this whole presentation, it's the only one that is non-SFS. But all the components were gold plated and stainless over stainless on the frame and slide, and this one didn't last too long before it was on its way to a new owner.
Just a side note, it was not sold with a fur coat, just for you to know.
It was not sold not sold with a fur coat.
Yeah.
If the market would have rejected it, that might have been the next marketing idea that could have come. Here's a Springfield SA35. This belongs to one of our very, very dear BH veterans. He had the threaded barrel protector, gold plated, gold BHAdvanced trigger, gold magazine base plate and grip screws. We thought that turned out really sharp. That is actually our new color. All right, this is BHTT Stealth Gray as a color, and I want to run back real quick to the BH Custom Shop Service Department also has a link to our refinish services, and then it shows you how many of the popular colors look with other colors. And so, okay, there we go. There's the new BH Stealth Gray refinish. There's BH Performance Black over BH TT Stainless. So you get a lot of things to look at on this refinish page too. There's Patriot Brown and Army Buff. There's Desert Sand over Army Dress Brown, or under Army Dress Brown, I should say. BH TT Stealth Gray over BH TT Stealth Gray on that Springfield SA35. Here's BH Armor Black over Armor Black. And the person here was looking for, not anything very on the way of flashy, but still a very, very classy looking high power pistol. Our lead tech in our BH Custom Shop Service Department is a retired U.S. Army veteran, and this one was one that was actually done by him, and he went all the way with Picatinny rail to match the Patriot Brown slide over the Desert Sand frame, and BH Masters Grips U.S. Army edition. And really cool thing that we did there on that, this is the same gun. We included the RDIH Brown grips and our tactical night op system of the Torchlight, and just one mention about that puts the actuator of the Torchlight within the range of your shooting hand thumb if you're right-handed, and it's reversible for lefties, and it's the only one that's actuated by the shooting hand thumb, which isn't doing anything particularly busy anyway. We don't do double dutying the trigger finger. That's one thing of note. This is a scrapbook picture from a day several months ago. We cleared 11 BHAdvanced high powers for shipping in one day, and these had all been through our shop. Many of them had been through refinish. All different selections. I mean, this really is 11 different handguns, and they're all BHAdvanced high powers. That's their common thread, is they all carry the BHAdvanced high power status. There's myself and David Mitchell, the lead tech in our shop, the day that we staged that picture before those firearms were shipped. Here's the model that I wrote a review about one time, and Slav over here in Bulgaria responded to me, and it was about this handgun, the Arcus 98 DAC. At the time he had one, I had one, and this is one that I think is actually available right now, and it's the new Elite Midnight slide over, I think that's actually the original Arcus stainless frame. And but this looks a lot different than the Arcus 98 DACs we were playing with back in the day. We've stepped up the game. Now here's an interesting one right here. This one just was part of a new series on the short barrel 1911s that we're about to release, and it's a Kimber Ultra Carry 2 highly modified by BH Spring Solutions with 1911 SFS, GI beaver tail because it prints less underclothing, extended slide stop, ambi mag catch, walnut grips, a front strap that's a rubber finger groove relief front strap, and you can just make out the green right there because those are in fact night sights. Much upgraded from its original form. That becomes a BHAdvanced 1911, and that one was up and gone on Gunbroker in a matter of days. Here's one that broke my heart to watch this one leave. In fact, I'm going to confess this one got tucked in my carry bag a couple of days before it went on Gunbroker because I wasn't sure I could bear it. This one was stunning, absolutely a work of art, and it just sold and went to a new owner. Aluminum frame, FN. There's another FN aluminum frame in BH Performance Black over TT Stainless. This was another group picture. Actually, there's the traditional operating system with a lot of the gold, but no fur coat. There's the Army pistol. That's a Ruger Commander, 1911. That's a Magnum Research Commander size 1911. That's the aluminum frame again. And a Browning High Power BH Performance Black over TT Graphite with a gold trigger. And here's a different group picture. Yeah, that is a very limited special edition heirloom grade grips in aluminum panels with a removable expanded magwell. And this again is a very, very limited edition product. It is a BH Spring Solutions product. But you know what, I think about, crossing emails with you 7 years ago, and the fact that we are looking at some of the gorgeous stuff that we are looking at here.
This 94C was just, I think this is the same, or it's Korean compatible. This one here.
Here. Yeah, that's another 94C. We have loved playing with those. High power compacts are tough to get a hold of.
It's looking very, very nice in black.
Yes. The BH Performance Black over BH Performance Black is really a stunning kind of a classy look for high power pistols. And yet that was that's actually an Arcus 94. With one of the, I think, transition days slides that may have been intended for a Kareen, but it wound up on Arcus. A lot of folks don't know that the Kareen Mark II and Mark III the components were actually made here in Bulgaria for Israel. And we'll be getting to the end of the scrapbook here pretty soon. That is the new Springfield SA35. Oh, reason for this is to mention about, again, night sight availability for the Springfield SA35. We have that. That's one of the very newest additions in the BHCustomShop service department is for your Springfield SA35. We can now install XS night sights, and the same applies to the TISOS BR9. And there's a picture of them right there. Folks, thanks for joining us very, very much. And on behalf of these two guys and our beloved Chief Weapons and Modifications Designer, Leo Hubert, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for everything, guys.